Have you ever just sat and listened to that peaceful sound before collecting a star at the end of a level? Gazing off at the endless universe of galaxies teeming with life. It's beautiful. It highlights exactly why Mario Galaxy has an absolute masterpiece of a soundtrack. Mario games have always been so grounded, existing in one world with lots of different areas. Galaxy literally flips that on its head. Now you are flying from planet to planet, existing in completely new worlds or even solar systems. This meant that for the first time, Nintendo needed to make a soundtrack that reflected not only thriving worlds, but also the large space in between them all. How does one make the lack of anything for millions of miles sound like something? Listen to this theme. The song consists of nothing but a few synths to begin with, like it's trying not to get in the way, then later turns into only what I can describe as a warm breath on a cold day, but in music form. Almost like they are hinting that even in such cold emptiness, life prevails. What is also so fantastic about this theme is there is an alternate version of it. When you reach the volcanic landscape that was off in the distance, the song flips over to its fiery counterpart, and it does it seamlessly. Nintendo have always been masters of creating soundtracks. The thriving sun-swept paradise of Isle Delfino, the scary yet peaceful underwater world of Dia Dia Docks, and we can't forget about tracks like Coconut Mall, letting you drift around a shopping centre whilst bopping your head. They really know how to make a world feel like it exists, and it's all through something called audible storytelling. To tell a story through sound, you have to match the pacing of the story you want to tell. For example, the Star Festival at the beginning of the game. You make your way up a hill and you hear this flute with a little twinkling sound complementing the melody in the background. As you peek over the top of the hill, the music ramps up and starts to feel more grand and adventurous. This directly matches the visuals of a beautifully lit up and busy town celebrating a rare event. Attack of the Airships also embodies exactly what is happening at the time. It slowly fades in as you realise the town is under attack, getting more and more intense as the moment builds up and as Bowser's ship gets closer to Peach's castle. Once you reach the castle, Bowser shoots lightning into the sky, summoning a goddamn UFO, all whilst this orchestra is blaring the coolest shit in the background. Where it really gets special though, is when the castle gets ripped out of the ground by the ships. They could have dialed it up to 11 as this happened, but instead, the instruments slowly fade out, and the drums bang a few final times. They made flawless use of the space in between to really help you understand the gravity of the situation. I could honestly talk about the most intense parts of this game for hours. However, what I think is the most impressive is the dynamic tracks. A great example of this is the Comet Observatory. It has 3 different versions of the same song. When you first land at the observatory, the theme is soft and quiet. As you progress through the game and you start to power up the ship, the theme, just like the ship, becomes more filled with life. Then there are tracks such as Beach Ball Galaxy that have 2 versions, the main theme and a more muffled underwater track. What's fantastic is how seamlessly it transitions between both tracks. You could hop in and out of the water all day long and you would only get smooth transitions. My guess to how they did this is likely that both tracks are always playing at the same time and they just flip between them whenever you enter or exit the water. It's super simple but very effective and very clever. On top of that, there are the ball rolling galaxies. Just when you thought it couldn't get any cooler, it does. When you move the ball, the song speeds up or slows down accordingly. There are these segments where the ball is stuck on a rail and it forces you to go super fast, making the song sound ridiculous, but awesome. There are tracks in this game that definitely go unnoticed by a lot of players, and they are usually the more quiet ones. Space Junk Galaxy does a wonderful job at making what is a really scary void of death into a beautiful field of asteroids and stars sparkling in the darkness of space. I cannot tell you how many times I've just sat and listened to this theme, but it's a lot. The space fantasy theme is another one that exudes passion and curiosity, turning what should be scary into something to be amazed by. It feels like a very versatile song, something that could fit in with any galaxy you throw at it. It has an alternate version for Battle Rock Galaxy. It sounds much more serious, like you aren't safe anymore. There is an oddball amongst the peaceful tracks, and that's the pipe interior. The way I would describe it is like a break from space. It's like a theme that was meant to be used for a galaxy itself, but has been muffled and played slower. One thing I've noticed that really solidifies the soundtrack though, is its sound effects. Of course, there are sound effects in the world you explore, like Mario jumping or a fireball smashing through multiple wooden boxes. However, it's the subtle sound effects that exist within the tracks themselves that are what weaves them into the world that they are a part of. Mecha Bowser is a fantastic example here. They use synth instruments and lay them over the top of the main theme, as well as those extra bits that sound kind of like an old computer trying to calculate something. All of this just makes it feel like you are fighting a robot. Even Toy Time Galaxy, they use instruments that sound like what a kid would have lying around. It even manages to sound like the wooden train set that we all used to play with as a kid. Now it's time to talk about my favourite tracks, starting with Buoy Base Galaxy. Oh boy, this theme is just incredible. I'd argue that it's the best theme in the game. Diving under the water and getting shot at by literal torpedoes and scaling a huge tower with moving parts and lots of dangerous things in the way. It truly feels fantastic, and its theme just elevates that. I absolutely adore the callback to Mario 64 in the lead up to the first fight with Bowser. It sounds awesome with its orchestral facelift, and it definitely does a fantastic job at making the journey to the first battle feel as epic as it looks. Speaking of Bowser, the Galaxy Reactor theme is actually incredible. I don't even know how to describe the beginning of it, but it just sounds cool. The boss themes differ quite a bunch from the rest of the soundtrack. They are much faster paced and more intense. Mega Leg's theme is a prime example. The beat in particular is special because every so often there is a bang that is louder than the rest. This made it feel much more intense, as it sounded like the robot's giant footsteps crashing down from above. Then it transforms into this wonderful segment that sounds like you are on the cusp of defeating it. Also, side note, blowing up Mega Leg by doing a flip over the gates at the top is so satisfying. Bouldergeist is the most unique theme of the boss fights, as it manages to fill you with this sense of dread. Nothing in the song sounds triumphant at any point. It kind of makes you feel like you're going to lose the whole way through, and I actually really like that, especially when the second phase starts. Speaking of boss themes, let's talk about the final theme against Bowser. The theme starts off with Catastrophe, the theme from the very beginning of the game, but with a choir backing it. I literally hear this choir as the rest of the universe wishing you along to beat Bowser once and for all. It has a little break from the main theme too. I think it's supposed to sync up with when you fall from one planet to another. The last time you fall is where it gets really interesting. You are facing Bowser at his absolute peak. He is pulling out all the moves, all his power, with nothing but a choir chanting the theme in the background. There are some really faint instruments in the background, but the way I see it is like Mario's honed in all of his senses solely on defeating Bowser, and it's such an epic final moment. After all this craziness has passed and you've defeated Bowser, you finally meet back up with Peach. Everything goes wrong. The universe begins to collapse in on itself. However, there's no intensity here, just a beautiful version of Luma's theme, as everything gets sucked into the black hole and all the Lumas willingly fly into it. And then it just goes silent. Nothing but wind blowing, before a huge explosion creates a whole new universe. It's literal perfection. If you watched this far, I plan on posting more videos like this one in the future, talking about various gaming and non-gaming related topics. So please, subscribe if you want to see more. Thank you so much for watching.